start the fight, breaking down the walls in the dead of night. I don't come for peace, I come for the storm. Fanboys melt quick when the truth gets warm. Saw content's high, I'm collecting those tears. Just got started, but I'm cutting through fears. I'm not here for brand deals, I'm not for sale. I expose your lies, rip off the veil.
Oh boy, primey. I think I got under his skin severely. Well, it ain't just me, but I don't know who else he's talking about, but I definitely know he's referencing me in this video. Let's get into it.
A lot of us content creators deal with on the daily, be it the fellow co-hosts on my podcast, like Gamebird Classic and Thunderstash Gaming, or maybe it's just other guests we have on, like Roger's Base. Or
I'm pretty sure he's going to talk about all the negativity. You know, Birdie, if you're watching this, I didn't know that you were dealing with any negativity. You should have let me know. I've never heard nothing about that. Now, when it comes to Roger Base, Primey, he brought that shit upon himself. Are you kidding me? He literally said, let's jack him up to $90. Maybe he was joking around, but how are we supposed to know here? How are we literally supposed to know that? The way he was saying it did not come clearly as joking around.
Pretty positive. He put out a video recently about the Switch 2 launch and his experience with the system, and it's 45 minutes long, and it's actually generally a very, very positive.
I have no idea who this guy is.
Video on Switch 2, but of course, in the world of the internet, when you're positive about something that others are extremely negative about.
Nah. Don't you dare. Don't you try to act like, oh, it's because you're being positive. Primey, you do so many videos every single day, and I think that I'm the one that majorly reacts to your stuff, and I don't even react to every single thing you do. I react to stuff where I think you're trying to do fanboyism, or if there's something that goes on about anti-consumership. So don't sit here and act like, oh, it's about positivity. No, come on. You have been caught multiple times trying to do that kind of stuff. We all know why you ran with that story about the Switch 2 not being able to be hacked. Come on, you were truly excited to hear that.
It kind of leads to you getting attacked. Now, look, at my channel, I sometimes sort of invite that in. People think I invite it in just by having Nintendo in my username. I kind of think,
No, Primey. It has nothing to really do with your name. Yes, your name is going to get people to watch your content. That's why we know that you picked that name when it came down to it, and you can go on later to explain it. But when it comes down to it, your videos that mostly get the most traction is when you're defending anti-consumer practices, or when you're coming across, maybe you're not meaning to defend them, but then you're coming across it. I remember one of the biggest videos where a lot of people reacted to it was when you were talking about Mario Kart World, where you were tired of hearing all the controversy of it. It's because you weren't speaking out against it, and then come to find out in the past, you were sitting here trying to throw out Sony for raising games up to $70, but you were quiet as a church mouse, it seemed, when it came to Mario Kart World going to $80. And then you've gone on and sat there and said, oh, well, the game hadn't came out yet. I don't know if it's worth $80. Come on, everybody knows there's no way it could have been worth $80 to begin with. You didn't need to wait for it to come out.
yeah. I know firsthand that there's a massive movement out there on the internet that's not as big as the consumer base. To be clear, the consumer base for Switch and Switch 2 and everything is so much larger.
I think he's talking about the so-called negative or Nintendo hate movement, which it's not negative and it's not the hate movement. There might be some of it in there, but for the most part, we are truly trying to make the gaming industry better. We're trying to bring it back to what it was before, when it was great, when we weren't getting ripped off, when we were in the golden age of gaming with the PS1, the PS2, even during the PS3. During those eras, things were properly priced. They weren't overpriced. They weren't ripping us off as bad. That's what a lot of us want to bring back.
Than any of these online conversations, but that doesn't mean the online conversations don't have merit. Yeah, I want things to be cheaper. Yeah, game key cards aren't great.
And very true. And the way we can sit here and make these changes, Primey, is we gotta group together. We gotta sit here and hold the line. We gotta sit here and tell Nintendo, no, whining and crying does work. Believe it or not, voicing your opinions actually do work. Because unfortunately, when you stay quiet, people are going to accept these terrible prices. They're not going to go against them. But all it takes is one person to do the right things, and other people will follow.
Even though I do have some and people get mad at me, things like Bravely Default and stuff, I get it. But
I ain't mad at you for buying the game key card of that game. That game is literally 11 gigs long. At least that's what it says on Google. So if I'm wrong, don't come at me here. But it's 11 gigs total. Expecting them to put that on a 64 gigabyte cartridge, that's just ridiculous and way too damn expensive. We would definitely not be getting that game for $40. So being put on a game keycard, I think that's perfectly fine in that situation. But it is Nintendo's fault because Nintendo only has an option of a game keycard and a 64 gig cartridge. If they would have given a smaller one, maybe they would have put it on there for all we know. Now, if they did have an option to put it on, for instance, a 16 gig cartridge, and they still chose the game keycard, then yes, I would blame the third party person for that one. But in that situation, no, it is Nintendo's fault. And I don't blame you, Primey, on that one. If you really want that game, it's either you get a digital or you're going to have to get a game keycard. You can't expect them to put on a 64 gig at that point.
The bottom line is that we are in an era where fighting for consumers apparently is fighting against consumers. And that's...
No. Don't sit here and try to act like a victim now. Okay, no. Us fighting has nothing to do with fighting against consumers like you're trying to paint it as. Yes, you're technically a consumer because you do buy it. The reason why a lot of us are going after the content creators, for instance, is because you guys have a huge following. You guys are influencers, whether you want to admit it or not. So when you buy a game, you talk positively of the game. You hype that game up. You will influence people to buy the game, which we think is the wrong thing to do because the games are overpriced. Well, some of them. So when you sit here and hype up something that is considered anti-consumer, that is considered ripping off the fans, we're going to push back and we're going to continue to do it because you guys don't want to do the right thing.
That's where I don't fundamentally understand what is happening. If people are generally positive about things, and I'm positive about things like Donkey Kong Bonanza, and even I'm getting like critiqued for it, which I guess saying even I'm is a little strange since I get critiqued for literally everything I do on the internet.
Well, Primey, sometimes you bring that upon yourself. I'm not going to sit there and say everything you do you bring upon yourself, but there have been multiple videos where you got so much pushback for, and we all know why you were doing it. When it came to that video that you made about Mario Kart World, when it came to that video that you made about the whole hacking thing, we all know what you were trying to do because Nintendo is your favorite console. You want Nintendo to be on top over the others. We know what you were doing.
Donkey Kong Bonanza is incredible, holy S. And then you see, does it get better? Then you say, for some reason I'm not, which is totally fine, like the person's opinion here. This is a reskinned Mario Odyssey, regardless of the quality. I never understood why accounts like yours think any review they give matters. Like, bro, you've called yourself Nintendo Prime. Of course you're going to gargle on the sack of Nintendo.
Okay, I wouldn't sit here and say it's because you call yourself Nintendo Prime. That doesn't help the cause. We can clearly tell that you are very biased towards Nintendo, but it's not just that. It's more the videos that you sit here and do. Yeah, you were on X. We all know what X is about. He even is about to say it's a cesspool.
Can't even do that without getting a bunch of shit thrown my way. I think we've reached this point where it's no longer about fighting for the consumer. I do want things to get better, and I realize...
No, it is about the consumer, Primey, at least here on YouTube. On X, I'm not going to even defend X. There's a reason why I don't really post on X, because there's a lot of people that drive me crazy on that platform. But no, it is about the consumer. And Primey, you sit here and say that you want things to get better, but the problem is you're not doing anything to really help out. Sometimes you're actually making it worse.
If you look at my purchasing habits, it's not inherently helping things get better. I bought a couple key cards, right? I'm also on record saying that I'll probably never buy a game key card again unless, and this is a very big unless, it's a game I know I want to resell. Because
actually, I kind of do believe you on this one because you did buy Donkey Kong Bonanza digital. So maybe that's some truth to it. But the thing is, though, if you're going to buy some games digital, what's the point of even buying them physical to begin with? I know that sometimes you want to support the developers. Oh, I get it. You want to know what? because he wants to sit here and have the third party support so bad. That's why he bought all those damn game key cards and all those physical cartridges. When it came to the Nintendo games, yeah, he sat here and got them digitally. That's why he went and bought Donkey Kong Bonanza. But I do have a hard time believing that when it comes to the third party, that you might not buy them, Prime, because we both know that you severely want that third party support. It is very important to you that Nintendo gets that third party support, even though I don't think Nintendo really cares.
I'm gonna probably sell it after I beat it, or because there'll be a new version of it, like a Madden or something like that, right? Where every year a new one comes out, and the game doesn't fully fit on the cartridge. So
you shouldn't even be buying those sports games. Those games are such a detriment to your community. It's not even funny. I don't think any Nintendo YouTuber should support that. If you truly cared about your community, you would not be buying those heavily microtransaction BS games.
the point is, I'm not really a big supporter of game key cards. I don't like them. I do want them to go away. I'd rather things be full physical. Things like, what is it? We got Cyberpunk here, Cyberpunk 2077. I'd rather things be like this.
Yes, that's what we all want, but one way to do that is not by buying a bunch of those game key cards. If I remember correctly, I think you bought that Yakuza game as a game key card. I'm pretty certain that, no, you got the upgrade for that one. So for the other one, I was about to say Hogwarts Legacy, but I'm pretty certain you got the upgrade. But you bought the Yakuza one. We both know you did. That was a game key card.
And be in a full physical format. But bottom line is, more and more games might start to do that. All of Nintendo's games that release physically do that.
Okay, it's completely irrelevant if Nintendo puts theirs full physical. It's their platform. That's the bare minimum. When it comes to third party, I'm not justifying third party doing it, but it's not their platform. So I'm not going to sit here and give credit to Nintendo for doing something that's the bare minimum. But when it came to the third party, guess what? A bunch of us pushed back against it. That's how we got Sega to do the full physical, because they listened, and we probably influenced people to not go and buy them. That's how influence works.
But, you know, we have no idea how that generation is going to play out. What I can say is I'm all for fighting for the consumer rights.
It would be nice if you did that against Nintendo. You have no problem doing that for the most part when it comes to third party. But for some reason, when it comes to Nintendo themselves, you won't do that. You didn't fight against the $80 Mario Kart World.
And trying your best to make things better for everyone, to make gaming more accessible, to bring prices down. Yeah, I might be in a fortunate situation where I can afford certain things if I want them. Like if they charge $100 for the next 3D Zelda game, yeah, I can afford it and I might be willing to pay for it.
Oh, there's no might. You will pay for it, Primey. Come on. You have no discipline when it comes down to it. You know that that game would not be worth $100, but we both know you would go out and buy it. I know I have no facts to back that up, but I'm going to use a little bit of common sense with that one. We know how much you love Zelda.
But that doesn't mean that that's actually a good price for all consumers. I'm kind of a hardcore Zelda guy.
That's not the right price for any damn consumer. I don't care if anybody says like, oh, I'll pay that. I think it's worth it. I don't give two shits about your opinion.
I think the opus is not on negative people to be going after positive content creators.
Primey, you need to understand, when you're contributing to the problem, what do you expect people to do? That's not how life works. We have to push back against the problem, and we can push back against the company. Guess what? When we have influencers who are influencing people to accept these terrible price points, then guess what? We're gonna have to push back against the influencers, because I've influenced people to not buy certain games. You've influenced people to buy certain games. That's how it works. You are a much bigger influencer than I am, but we have both influenced people nonetheless.
I think the opus is to go after the company itself.
People have been doing that, and it hasn't been working because, unfortunately, like I keep saying, we got influencers like you that are contributing to the problem. That's why we're going after both. I also go after Nintendo themselves. I made videos recently about complaining to Nintendo. You commented on them. So I know that you've seen them, but I'm doing both.
I talked recently in a video how I think one of the reasons that Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is a physical game, a full physical game, is because Sega's released like 3 or 4 games on Nintendo Switch 2, and all of them are game key cards.
Oh, yes, I remember that video and I reacted to it. I think this is where I know he's talking about me. Now, when it came to the other guy, I cut the section out because I don't know who Ant Dude is or Ant Guy, whatever he called him. I have no idea who he is, never even heard of him until now. But this part, oh, he's definitely talking about me. Let's hear it.
And the game key cards themselves are probably not selling very well. I'm not saying the games are selling bad, that I don't know, digital sales and all that, but I think physically they probably saw a huge percentage drop off compared to Nintendo Switch.
And so they should, because a bunch of us were whining and complaining about those game key cards, and guess what? We helped influence people to not buy them. Unfortunately, you went out, I believe you bought every single game, if I remember correctly, at launch, and you contributed to the problem. Imagine if we would have pushed back against Mario Kart World. We could have gotten that price dropped even more.
Where the games were physical. So they have decided we're going to go with a full physical version of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds on Switch 2. Now, some people have pushed back on that and said, hey, well, maybe it's just because it's the first big brand new AAA type game they're bringing over.
That is completely irrelevant. They want to sit here and make as much money possible, and they noticed that their games were not selling as well when it came down to it. So of course they're going to try to put it on the physical cartridge because they see how well Cyberpunk 2077 has done.
And that could be the case, but then why is it not day and date? Kind of feels like this decision was made after the fact, because it's the only system that's not getting the physical version day and date. It's getting it a month or two after the digital version,
which is ridiculous.
They're still trying to push Switch 2 owners to all digital with their games. Does that sound like a company that is committed to physical, or does that sound like a company that is almost reluctantly putting it on physical?
No, it doesn't actually, Primey. They don't sit there and seem like they're committed to physical, but we still made it happen regardless. It wasn't with your mindset. It was with our mindset when it comes down to it. Now, of course, they want Switch 2 people to go more to digital than the other ones, because guess what? Those cartridges are very expensive, which that is Nintendo's fault. They chose the cartridges. They could have invented a new disc type thing that could have sat here and held many gigs of data on there with the plastic coating on it. They could have tried to do it.
And I know some people will sit back and go, well, there's ways I could circumvent all of this. I'll just buy everything used. Cool. So none of my money goes to Nintendo.
Oh, he's definitely referring to me. Yes, I did buy it used, and Nintendo didn't get my money for the console itself. I am very happy with my purchase on that one, especially because I got mine significantly cheaper than what you paid.
Did you buy a digital game? 30% of that went to Nintendo. You're still supporting them.
Oh, I could feel the hatred in that eye for that one. Yes, I bought Fast Fusion because I wasn't against Fast Fusion. I think that game is worthwhile for $15. Yes, Nintendo did get a little bit of it, but that game was not anti-consumer in my eyes. I go by step by step. If I sit here and eliminate every company that's done something that's anti-consumer and has never tried to make things right, guess what? I would probably die, because I guarantee you at some point, every company right now is being anti-consumer in one way or another.
I just think it's time for people to let content creators be. Let people who are being positive be.
Well, if you did the right thing, we wouldn't have to sit here and keep pushing back against you. See, I know you tried to do it. He did for a small part, and then he glossed over it. You're trying to make me seem like a hypocrite because I went and bought a $15 game. I want Nintendo to become better. I want Nintendo to change. How you make Nintendo change is not by walking away, because there's going to be somebody who sits here and is going to replace me. But if I sit here and speak out against them, and yes, a lot of my fans wanted me to give a review on Fast Fusion because the game looked very good. So I had no problem. Trust me, I would have rented the game over buying it for a digital copy, but there was no physical copy. So I couldn't sit here and do that. But guess what? Donkey Kong Bonanza, I'm getting on GameFly. Nintendo is not going to get my money. I'm going to try my hardest until Nintendo changes to make sure they get very little of my money as possible.
Because bickering at consumers that disagree with you, it just gets you blocked. It just gets you ignored. And we're talking about video games.
I'm actually very surprised I haven't been blocked yet by some people that I know of. No one who I've reacted to has actually blocked me, but I haven't tried to comment on every single one of their videos.
So let's say Sonic Cross Worlds is going full physical because consumers aren't buying key cards. They didn't decide not to buy those key cards because of your YouTube videos or your articles on websites or your tweets on Twitter.
No, but what did happen when we sat here and made these YouTube videos, when people made those articles, when people made those tweets, is we influenced people to not buy them. Because we are influencers at the end of the day. Whether you want to admit it or not, Primey, when you went out and bought Mario Kart World, when you went out and bought those game key cards, you do understand, because you hype those things up, you influence people to make those purchases also. That's how it works. So this change happened because we were pushing back. You're not going to take this win away from us.
They decided because it's not a physical copy of the game. They just made that a personal decision, assuming that's why. And even in saying that, you're now okay with physical games releasing after digital games?
Well, most of us never sat here and said that. Now you're just trying to put words in our mouth. We're just happy that they made it a physical cartridge. Yes, it is completely wrong that they went full digital. We all know that. I have never once said going digital is the right thing to do. Now, Primey, one day I will bring you back to the old Prime, how you were 8 years ago. Believe it or not, guys, he was very pro-consumer. He cared about the consumer. You don't believe me? Go back and look up his debate against OJ, Player Essence. He did amazing. That was a very pro-consumer person. Now, Primey, no offense, you can leave the hairdo from 8 years ago. You don't need to bring that back, but bring the mentality back. And now it's time to read off the members of the channel. We got Koros Objective, Maximilian Pegasus 88, Madfox 94, Watari, Shade Milkman, Oh No Is Justin, Brian Payne, Jay Wesby 65, Andy Ritz, C-Stars Piplup, Cam, Austria Slane, and Maxim Musil 2400. Sorry, I butchered that last one. But thank you for becoming members of the channel. And if you truly enjoy this content, why don't you think about becoming a member? It's only $1 a month. You get special emotes, badges, and you get a shout out at the end of each video until it becomes too long, and then it'll be turned into a credit roll. And also, I got an awesome merch lined up for you guys. I got amazing shirts, hoodies, I got coffee mugs, I got desk mats, I got a bunch of different kinds, so why don't you check it out also. And please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, guys, stay vigilant.
You can cry in the comments, but you won't survive. Like and subscribe if you feel that vibe. We're